pharmaceutical companies too, if you relax, if you smoke a joint or take a puff, whatever you do, you eat a cookie, a brownie, then you're less likely to need Valium, you're less likely to need Ambien, you're less likely to need Prozac, you're less likely to need aspirin, Motrin, codeine. So all of these drugs, their use and of course the sales would go down if cannabis was more readily available.
Okay, my brothers and sisters, we are down here in Hollywood, off the corner of Cahuenga and Hollywood Boulevard. We're going to see one of the most prominent doctors in the medical marijuana profession. He's been doing this for 12 or 13 years. He's been an herbalist. He's been writing prescriptions since they began this thing. Right here, we're going to go up and see Dr. Eidelman. So let's go.
Doctor's office.
All right, I'm sitting in Dr. Eidelman's office. He is a medical practitioner, and at this moment he's chosen to prescribe medical marijuana to patients as opposed to more like prescriptions. Is that correct? Because I know...
That's correct. Here in California, it's a letter of recommendation, not a prescription.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm still learning. So what's the process, first of all, for a person to get a letter of recommendation? They need to be sick to some degree, right?
Well, you need to have some medical problem for which cannabis is beneficial. Now, there's no doubt that the law was passed for seriously ill people, and there are many seriously ill people. Now, the way the law was written here in California, it kind of opened it up for people who were less seriously ill also. So, like let's say a normal headache one might not call a serious illness, but if cannabis helps it, you could still use it for that.
I see.
Migraine headache, everyone I think will agree that it's a serious illness, and that's one of the things on the list.
So what are some of the sicknesses, some of the patients that come in here, what are some of the illnesses that they have?
Well, first, Dr. Todd Micarea, the late great Dr. Todd Micarea, he was one of the first doctors doing research on medical cannabis back in the 70s. And he had compiled a list of something like 288 different conditions for which cannabis is beneficial.
Really?
But the most common one is pain, and pain can be caused by injury, can be caused by many kinds of illnesses. And then people get injured in war, in traffic accidents, in domestic violence, in street violence. I mean, there's many car accidents, work injuries. So we see people with chronic pain from every type of cause you can imagine. And that's probably the most common. Cannabis is an amazing substance, and it's good for this long list of different problems, and it helps the body in many different ways. And so sometimes one will take it for one reason and find that it's helping in other ways too.
Right.
The authorities usually say, well, it's got all the same carcinogens in it as cigarettes, so therefore it causes cancer. But in fact, the epidemiological studies show that it does not. The work of Dr. Donald Tashkin of UCLA, he did an epidemiological study, a major one, which before it was published, he said this is going to tell us once and for all if it causes cancer or not. And in the end, he said, I was surprised it does not. Of course, I wasn't surprised because how many people have you known who smoked only cannabis that got cancer? And the answer is zero.
Right. You went through medical school. You got your license as a general practitioner, am I correct? Physician. And you obviously have a compassion for herbs and natural healings. Can you tell me why you changed from that to...
Okay, so when I was growing up, my father was a professor of psychiatry. And he was a little bit different than all the other psychiatrists, and so I kind of learned from him it was okay to be a little bit different. So I kind of went to medical school with that idea that we don't really have all the answers. But when I got there, I saw that they didn't have a clue. That they were missing the boat completely, going in the wrong direction. And that was 35 plus years ago.
Wow.
And so they're still on the same train, but there are other doctors who've gone in different directions. And actually, most of the cannabis doctors are just the regular old doctor who got off of the train and start doing cannabis, that I got off the train on right at the beginning. So I've been using alternative methods, exploring, studying, practicing nutrition, herbs, different forms of bioenergy, electromagnetism, and then the mind, consciousness, meditation, psychology, all these different things as ways of stimulating the natural healing process.